Now, new, live, and local, and every weekday from 8 to 9 a.m. This is the show talking about what you want to know, what you need to know, and part of Wolf Boom Radio's mission to use our voice to build our community. The all-new Delaware County Today, presented by Muncie Community Schools. Now on WMUN, the Talk of Muncie. Here's your host, Director of News Operations and lead morning anchor, Steve Lindell.
People are talking about the weather. We've got a nice stretch. Paul Poteet in just a minute. Bottom of hour, we'll have a comedian coming to Muncie. He'll be in the Zoom room, and our Meet the Candidates segments continue in just a moment. Hello from Studio B and the campus of Wolf Boom Radio. You are looking into what we are doing weather-wise now with Paul Poteet.
Good morning. A great day for East Central Indiana with a high temperature around 81 and plenty of sun. Mostly clear tonight, low of 60. And we've got a couple of cold fronts coming. Number one arrives tomorrow in the afternoon. Before that, it's still going up to 78. And the morning should be all right, but by afternoon and evening, scattered showers and storms. The Storm Prediction Center has us in the marginal risk area for tomorrow. There might be a couple of storms that have gusty winds in the afternoon and evening. Then that's gone by the weekend. Mostly sunny, 72 Saturday, 72 and partly sunny on Sunday. Shower and storm chances are back on Monday, mainly in the afternoon and evening from another cold front. Monday's high 76, and then by Tuesday, 68, mid to upper 60s much of next week for highs. And that's about average. That's your expanded look at the weather this morning. Now more from Steve.
All right, Paul Poteet, our meteorologist in charge. He is delivering the hourly weather here on WMUN and the rest of the Wolf Boom Radio Group. For our Studio B YouTubers, you are now looking live at our next candidate who will be in focus today. Deborah Pickett is in studio, and we'd like to say hello and welcome to you.
Good morning, Steve, and good morning to all your listeners.
We are glad that you are here. Deborah Pickett, Democrat candidate for the 5th Congressional District. First, start by telling us a little bit about yourself, would you?
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
First of all, I just would like for your listeners to know that the 5th Congressional District consists of Howard County, Delaware County, Madison County, Hamilton County, Tipton County, Grant County. So it's a large area, and I just want your listeners to know that a congressional candidate plans to go to Washington D.C. That's where you're going to be serving. You're serving your constituents in Washington D.C. I am back in the race. I ran in 2024 against Victoria Spartz. I lost. I'm back in the race again. Plan on prevailing this time. And my first candidacy was really about, I was concerned about our democracy, concerned about sort of the attacks on our democratic institutions, worried about our government not functioning, being degraded under the current administration. And that continues to sort of be my concern and my focus.
With 7 candidates trying for the Democratic nod, this time for the primary on May 5, what do you think sets yourself apart from those other Democratic candidates? What makes you most suited to be the one for the Democratic Party this time?
It would be my experience. I served in the United States Army Reserve for several years, and I served in 2 different capacities. I was a behavioral science specialist, and I also was an intelligence analyst with the 21st Support Command. Worked with facts, understood the tremendous value of facts, of excellent information, and being able to put together reports that you would then share with the commanders for strategy and for operations. I also worked at Hudson Institute as a researcher on international trade and economic studies. So my interest and passion for trade policy is critical, particularly in this environment with all these tariffs that were imposed under the first Trump administration. I wish that President Biden had rolled them back, and then, of course, President Trump has now gone full force with those tariffs, and it's had a tremendous negative impact on our economy and your local businesses.
Deborah Pickett is our guest this morning, one of the candidates for the 5th Congressional District in the Democratic side of the primary. We encourage you and everyone out there to vote May 5th, or early voting underway, and lots of different options with the vote centers now in Muncie. We'll cover that more and remind you more in the next couple of weeks. Deborah Pickett, what issues have you heard most about during your campaign this time?
The most important issues probably have to do right now, currently, would have to do with health care. And with the loss of the subsidies for those who were on the Affordable Care Act, that has had a major impact on small businesses and on farmers. There are people who either on Medicaid or on Medicare or have employer insurance. So the Affordable Care Act was for those people who could not qualify for those benefits, and they were getting government tax credits. And when those were eliminated, that now meant that those small businesses and those farmers could not have it was just too unaffordable for them to have health care insurance. So they either have dropped it, or they have they're now doing health insurance with just for catastrophic insurance. So they're either going without it, and this is a group of people that are, for example, my farmers. They're doing dangerous work. They're doing a lot of work that requires the potential that they are going to need health care. And they're also getting older. So now the need for health care also, between the type of work they have and the age, their need for health care has gone up.
This is Deborah Pickett, candidate for the 5th Congressional District, in our Wolf Boom Radio, WMUN Studio B today, with regards to the subject matter of medical costs, as has been reported on our radio station and everywhere. Indiana has the highest medical costs in the country, according to reporting done by our Daniel Huber. And that issue is a very, very big one for a lot of people. Our household, too, my wife Nancy and I, and many others. Next subject I'd like to ask you about, on the federal level,
Sure.
If you're elected, how will you encourage more growth in the job market, and how will you bring those jobs to the 5th District of Indiana?
Sure. Well, boy, that is sure one of the biggest issues, another big issue that I'm hearing when I'm out, and what I've heard also recently here up in Muncie. And I'm hearing a number of different things. One, I am hearing that there are a lot of businesses that do not have they don't have the skill, they don't have the number of employees that they need. There's a shortage of employees. There is also a mismatch. They don't have the skill set that they need. I was at a conference recently, and the executives of a plastic manufacturing company told me that they had to turn down a $35 million contract because they did not have the staffing. And they said this is going to be pushing us, they said it is going to be pushing us more and more towards investments in capital equipment or electronics or robotics, because they just can't, they don't have the labor. The other thing too, in the state of Indiana and in my district, you have got a lot of issues with, we have a lot of industries that rely heavily on labor that have now been seriously compromised because of the deportation efforts at the federal level. And so hospitality industry, the agricultural industry, the meatpacking industry have all been impacted by the deportation efforts, and people, immigrants, undocumented immigrants who were serving in these positions, who are right now really locked up in detention centers or been deported. So this is another big effort. So at the federal level, you need to look at reforming the immigration policies in our country. That's critical.
Deborah Pickett is our guest. We're on WMUN. I'm Steve Lindell. This is Delaware County Today. Our Meet the Candidates segment continues right now. One of the other topics in Indiana and nationwide and really worldwide, I guess, are data centers.
Yes.
And on that particular notion, we're asking all the candidates that we're having the good fortune of talking to some of these stock questions, because we want for the listeners to know where you stand in this particular case about data centers. What's your policy, and how do you feel about that here in Indiana?
When it comes to data centers, I think that we need to have a really honest conversation with the public about it, because we are now using, with our electronic devices, our form of communication, how we store our documents, everything is done electronically now. So consequently, and of course, artificial intelligence. I mean, that is now being deployed, employed in so many different respects. And so the need for data centers, the need for that storage and that capabilities is now just going to be increased. By the way, I just want to say, also remind people, the other activities that a lot of the young people are using. We're talking about gaming. We're talking about cryptocurrency. We're talking about the need for there's cryptocurrency. There's also betting. These are gaming. These are all different kinds of activities that we are now using that require data centers. So we need to understand there is a cost to these activities that are important to our lives. So I know that I've heard a lot of other candidates talk about a moratorium on the data centers. The problem that we are facing right now is those data centers. One, the communities feel as though their local elected officials are not listening to them. They don't want them. They are concerned about the tapping into their natural resources, the water sources. They are really worried about the strain that is going to place on their local communities, and they're also worried about the impact of having these big data centers in close to your communities. Also, they believe have a potential health consequence. So I am in favor of a moratorium, but I am also in favor of looking at how we're going to pay for this cost. I know that they're talking about of course, there's going to be an increase in the price of utilities if you're going to have this greater demand. But it needs to be an issue that is resolved with the constituents and also with the utilities.
Deborah Pickett is our guest. We've come to the close of our time for this segment. We very much encourage you to get out and vote. And I say this to all of the candidates, Deborah, that are in communication with us. Thank you for your willingness to serve. It takes a lot to put yourself out there. It is not easy every day. I would imagine the campaigning and all that is involved with being in the public eye. So thank you for your service that you mentioned to our country, and also thank you for your willingness to serve in this regard, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure.
We'll continue with more in a moment. This is Delaware County Today on WMUN.
The Pro Draft is this week, and you can trade on every pick on Kalshi. Will David Bailey or Arvell Reese be the number 2 pick? They're trading at 50-50, meaning you'll double your money if one of them wins. On Kalshi, you're trading against other people in the live market. No house and no odds makers. And as the odds move, you can buy in or out at any time throughout the draft. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code PROVE to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade on anything.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here in Muncie, we know what it means to show up for one another. We celebrate our wins, big and small. And when times get tough, we lean in, not away. At WMUN, we're more than just a voice on the radio. We are your neighbor, your friend, your connection to what matters most. Every morning, we wake up with you, sharing the stories of our city, highlighting the heroes you don't always hear about, and cheering on the teams that carry our hopes on their shoulders. This isn't just news and sports. This is home. From the streets of downtown to the heart of Delaware County, we're here because you're here. Thanks for letting WMUN be part of your day. We're proud to be your hometown station. Want to hear more? Replays uploaded daily on WMUNmuncie.com. Now back to Delaware County Today with Steve Lindell, presented by Muncie Community Schools.
And a pleasant good morning to you again on this April 23rd. I do see Mama in Minnesota. Roger is likely there too. Portland, Oregon, Sister Sherry, Long Beach, and Rialto, California. There's Mansfield, Ohio. There's Greenwood, South Carolina. There's Fishers, Indiana. Chicagoland is always, you know, we're huge in Chicago. We're huger, though, in Muncie, Indiana. I know it's not a word. I'm Steve Lindell, just making stuff up as we bring you the items that people are talking about. That would, of course, include, but be not limited to, the news and information. This is available on wolfboomnews.com always. And now for you, our local news summary on WMUN. Just over $609,000 statewide final statistics listed for Ivy Tech Day from earlier this week, a day-long funding effort to help impact students that attend the community college. The Muncie service area alone raised just over $48,000 from 390 donors. Anderson had more than $45,000 donated from 57 gifts.
With the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select probably Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Indiana University. First round of the draft tonight, rounds 2 and 3 Friday, 4 through 7 Saturday. First time since 1947 the draft is in Pittsburgh. Jared Max, Fox News.
Indiana's lieutenant governor says he was caught off guard after learning someone was allegedly plotting an attack against him.
The plan also targeted his family, and Micah Beckwith says what troubles him most is that the man accused of making the threat has stood only a few feet from him at a public event.
I didn't know his name, but when I saw a picture, he was just at our town hall 2 weeks ago. I was standing 5 feet away from him.
He says the FBI knew about the situation months earlier, but never informed him.
Oh, we're trying to get to the bottom of, what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is the world that we live in.
Beckwith says he plans to continue holding public town halls. Ryan Hedrick, Network, Indiana.
Indiana Youth Institute CEO Tammy Silverman has sobering numbers for Delaware County as National Child Abuse Prevention Month continues.
There were 413 cases in 2025. That's up from 370 the year before and 292 the year before that. So pretty significant increases when you keep in mind that, again, these aren't just numbers on a piece of paper. They're actual children.
The total cases for children in need of services has been rising for the past 2 years. Muncie Arts will host Art for the People Public Art Celebration Weekend on Friday and Saturday throughout the downtown area, designed to highlight artists and their works while allowing neighbors to interact with various locations. Former Navy SEAL trainee Dustin Turner is back in prison. Jarrett Lewis tells you why.
Dustin Turner had been granted parole earlier this year, but according to prison records, he is back in a Virginia prison as of Tuesday because of a parole violation. Turner spent 30 years behind bars after he and fellow SEAL trainee Billy Joe Brown were convicted in the murder of Jennifer Evans, a pre-med student from Georgia. Turner, who's from Bloomington, had admitted to helping hide Evans' body, but repeatedly denied that he killed her. The circumstances of his parole violation are unknown. Jarrett Lewis, Network Indiana.
President Trump's approval is right now at 42%, up a bit from 41% in March. But 53% say President Trump continues to do a good job with securing the border. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
A $2 million project to replace the bridge deck over the White River on Anderson's Range Line Road is ongoing, expected to continue till September 1. Construction on Madison County's first roundabout is also expected to begin soon in Lapel. A law in Indiana that bans college IDs for voting is back in effect.
A ban on this practice was upheld by the U.S. 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. It was initially blocked by a federal judge before it was reversed. The goal of it is to prevent potential fraud and ensure election security. John Herrick, Network Indiana.
The upcoming Michael Jackson biopic is generating buzz as it revisits his early life in Gary, Indiana.
The new Michael Jackson biopic highlights his rise from a gifted child performer to one of the most iconic figures in music history, showing the journey that led him to global superstardom. It also places strong emphasis on the involvement of his family, who are helping guide and shape the film to ensure his story is told through a personal and meaningful perspective. The project aims to reflect both his career and achievements and the legacy he left behind. Renuka Bachpai, Network, Indiana.
Sustainable land management on ground-mounted solar projects is free and begins 2 p.m. Saturday at Muncie's Kennedy Branch Library. Beautiful Farms owner-operator Brianna Reed will be the featured speaker for the free presentation. After responding to at least 5 mulch fires Tuesday, the Muncie Fire Department reminds residents most of those caused by improperly discarded cigarettes. Use approved containers. If you love heading down to Brown County, you've got a little more room to roam.
Governor Mike Braun and the Indiana Department of Natural Resources announced Tuesday they just added more than 120 acres of land to Yellowwood State Forest. The state spent about $860,000 to buy the land, which fills in a gap in the state forest. Jake McDaniel, Network Indiana.
Michael Bertassini has been named the Indiana State Police Trooper of the Year for 2025 in the Pendleton District. Joined the state police in 2024. Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham clarified how she felt about her one-year deal with the team.
This is what Cunningham said in a Tuesday news conference.
I just wanted to be somewhere for more than 1 year. You know, I'm almost 30 years old. I want to have a home, and I would love to get established in a place like Indiana.
The Fever announced earlier this month that Cunningham is returning after rehabbing a season-ending injury from last August. Jake McDaniel, Network Indiana.
Stranger Things Tales from 85, a new animated spin-off of the popular Netflix series, hits the streamer. It's set in the Stranger Things universe. It'll feature all the characters from the original hit series, but with a twist. They still remain kids.
Wait! What the heck is an upside down? And what the heck is she?
The new paranormal threat appears out of nowhere, and the gang must unravel the mystery, terrorizing them and their friends, and save their town. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
The Day Is My Enemy. That's the name of the Guilty by Association Wrestling's event. Saturday, promoting community awareness at the Boys and Girls Club of Muncie on South Madison Street. Doors open 6 p.m., tickets $12. Read more at munciejournal.com. More local every day on our free wolfboomnews.com.
America last. That's what Donald Trump says about liberal state Senator Travis Holdman. Holdman is selling out Hoosiers to China, voting to let ChemChina buy Hoosier farmland, putting China before Indiana families. And Holdman's voting against President Trump, siding with the radical left's extreme agenda in Washington. Liberal Travis Holdman against Trump, for China. America last. Vote no. Fortunately, President Trump has endorsed Blake Fichter instead. Blake Fichter is America first, all the way. A true conservative who will stand with Trump, protect Hoosier farmland from communist China, fight the radical left, and deliver for Indiana families every single day. Unlike Rhino Travis Holdman, Trump says Blake Fichter is a true America first patriot. Endorsed by Trump. America first. Blake Fichter for State Senate. Election day is May 5th. Paid for by Hoosier Leadership for America.
All kinds of people with Dr. Joe.
I know there was a real sense in high school that you want to be an elementary school teacher. Where did that come from?
Yes, well, since actually the age of 5, I had always wanted to be a school teacher. And although I'm the youngest, when we played school, I always had to be the teacher.
Dr. Dia Bell, the Assistant Superintendent of Muncie Community Schools, is my guest.
Interesting guests from Muncie and Delaware County with the kinds of conversation that only Joe could have.
How do you make time for your family?
I am with my family when I'm not at work. I'm typically with my family all the time, unless it's a Colts game, and then everything kind of comes to a stop for a Colts game for me.
I am absolutely delighted to have Chad Castor in the studios.
Mondays from 9:30 till 10 a.m. on 92.5 FM, 1340 AM, and Alexa, play WMUN. Want to hear more? Replays uploaded daily on WMUNmuncie.com. Now back to Delaware County Today with Steve Lindell, presented by Muncie Community School.
Thank you, Tom Campbell, the voice of WMUN. And now a voice and a picture we have in our Zoom room. Tommy Davidson, who is coming to our area in Mother's Day performance. Tommy, it is wonderful to meet you, to now hear from you. Thanks for joining us. And it looks like you're in your ride at the moment. You're actually mobile.
Yeah, I'm sojourning.
You're sojourning.
I'm sojourning, man. My comedy, my comedy journey, man.
I think
across the country. So.
A lot of our listeners will remember you from your first big gig in Living Color, but you've done so many things. Let's start there. How fun was that?
Praise the Lord for In Living Color. Oh my goodness.
How fun was that?
That was the most fun I've ever had, and probably will. I don't know if we can match that. I mean, here you had, the Super Bowl of the class clowns, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers of sketch, and we did a good job, and we really, really lifted this whole world up a notch in happy. And happy's so important, man.
It is. Is it more difficult to be in your line of work now? I'm talking about the comedy type of work.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more difficult today than it was back then? How would you articulate that?
Let's say for me, not, and I'm sure for my cast, not, because the love of it, and how natural it is to who we are. Like, we were actually the In Living Color. Like, we were the people that really were that surge. And it was sort of like a miracle because, we all got brought together on this one show. We all had different backgrounds, but the one thing we had in common was we had absorbed everything entertainment-wise that was available to planet Earth when we met. So we were the kid that grew up on Andy Griffith and Laughing and Seals and Yarnell as well as anything else. Mary Tyler Moore, the Flying Nun, from the Poseidon Adventure, Planet of the Apes, Get Smart. I'm moving up the scale here.
Yeah.
The Honeymooners. We're just Louis Armstrong, jazz, Muhammad Ali. We just were steeped in a deep, well American earned eclectic happy.
Tommy Davidson is our guest. It does make sense. He's in our Zoom room here, Studio B at Wolf Boom Radio, Muncie, Indiana. That is the place where he's going to be doing a show for us at Cornerstone Center for the Arts. Have you ever been to Muncie, Indiana?
I've never been to Muncie, Indiana, but I'm going to think it's near Fort Wayne, maybe.
It's just south of Fort Wayne. You're right. Absolutely.
Okay, so my meter is going.
Yeah, we're like an hour and 15 minutes from Fort Wayne, and I'm about the same to Indianapolis. We're about midway between those two bigger cities.
And South Bend is about an hour 45.
Yeah, you're right. Gosh,
right?
You got all this down. Okay. So you're going to do a Mother's Day show.
And Gary doesn't matter. But go ahead. No, I'm just kidding.
Gary does. Gary does matter.
They do, man. If it wasn't for Gary, Indiana, I would not be sitting in front of you because there was this group of 5 black boys that I think I remember them. I was watching the Diana Ross show when I'm 6 years old, man. And she comes out and she goes, "Here's this little group of boys. You got to check them out. and I've never been the same.
I don't think any of us have been. They were just unbelievable. This is Tommy Davidson.
God.
He is coming to Muncie on Sunday, May 10th. You can read all about this on our MuncieJournal.com. Our Mike Rhodes, editor-in-chief, has a story up. I think it was last week. And the Mother's Day is obviously an important day to a whole lot of folks. You're from what I understand, you're gonna be saluting moms and grandmothers as part of the show.
Yeah. We have to. That's let's talk about the real backbone of our country.
Right.
If it wasn't for the matriarchs of this freaking country, that what would we have? You know what I mean? We just be still battling somewhere. It's the ones that said, you know what? You guys are going to have to try to find a way to get along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of
well, we got a point to prove and they got a point to prove and we're going to prove ours. Well, you know what? There's not enough water and we don't have some coal and we don't have wood and stuff. We don't have beef. I mean, if you guys got together, we all could have it.
You got it. My mom, by the way, my mom, Dolores, is listening right now in Minnesota. That's where I'm originally from. And we have a map over here on the screen behind me that shows where people listen on, a smart speaker, Alexa device and stuff.
Yeah.
And Mom
You
gets
just
up
stole my heart away.
she gets up every single morning in a time zone away, and she's sitting right now at her table. She's got her coffee cup in hand. She's got her crossword. She's listening every single day.
She's listening.
And another mama who happens to be my sister, Sherry, who lives in Portland, Oregon, she's listening, and I bet
Portland, Oregon.
Yep,
Okay.
she thinks it's really cool that I'm talking to Tommy Davidson right now on the radio.
I believe I'm probably like the truest American, man. I'm sort of like John Brown or something. My mom is white from Laramie, Wyoming, and my dad is white from Fort Collins, Colorado. I was abandoned as a baby, and they found me. I ended up with them. My family is from not only Wyoming but Oregon too. My grandparents lived in Gold Hill, Oregon. Oh my goodness. My uncle and aunt look like Whistler's cousin. I grew up on on farms and meadows and at the end of the day I ended up in communes. Never let your child go there. And it has added to everything that I am. Everything that I am. And it's all inclusive. Now, Minnesota, my story with Minnesota is the Vikings are my favorite team.
They are?
Yeah.
Blood-borne illness. Vikings fan through and through.
I mean,
Skull,
through and
baby.
Through. You can cut me and purple blood will come out. I put it this way. I've been a Vikings fan so long since they had all white running backs. Okay. So Ed Marinero and Jim Osborne. So I can go all the way back to even when we got Roman Gabriel for a minute.
So if I said Sir Francis to you, you know who I'm talking about there.
Yeah. What I would say is the bull ring in the center of Larry Zonka's helmet served as a battle ram as he gave the purple people eater indigestion through the whole third quarter.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm watching NFL films right now. This is Tommy Davidson. There's more. Go ahead. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
And then he comes in and says, but Sir Francis Asbury Tarkington took the helm. So
that's great.
That's great. Handing the ball off to Triple Crown winner Chuck
Foreman, Chuck Foreman. Gee. I got to tell you a quick Viking story. Now, we're going off on a tangent because you got me on Viking stuff. I'm sorry. So I'm a little kid. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota with my mom and dad. We're at a big shopping place. I forget the name of the place. And I'm standing in the doorway because, you could leave your kid standing by him or herself anywhere, anytime, back in the day. It's a different world.
Right. It's a different world. Yeah.
I'm standing. The doors swing open. And the largest human being I've ever seen in my life walks in the door and walks up to me, this little kid, and he leans down and he says hello. It was Carl Eller.
Eller.
Reached his hand down to shake this young man's hand. So it looked like my hand was a finger and his hand was a hand. That was just a great memory.
And I'm so proud of Minnesota. just showed everybody. And you would think that that's the most conservative white thing in the whole wide world, and it's not. And it really is kind of an epicenter of what we're all about. And the fact that Minnesota held their ground, you know, and never denied the injustices of their history or anything, and just live and let live. You know, this little short guy brought national fame to him. You know, he was a different kind of cat, changed music. And it's just, I'm very proud of Minnesota. It just changed, it made everybody who loves love know that it was worth it.
Well put. We're looking forward to seeing you in Muncie, Indiana. Tommy Davidson, a guest in our Zoom room. This is a May 10 show at Cornerstone Center for the Arts. The doors will open at 5. The show starts at 6 p.m., and I can't wait to see a bunch of laughing people because of you, Tommy.
It's a service to me. You know, it's a service to me. I dispense happy. You know, I get left in the trash as an infant, almost die. I live, you know. And I moved to Washington, D.C., not knowing I'm black, not knowing they're white. I think I'm brown and they're like beige. And I found out the hard way, you know, right when King got shot during the riots. So I come into this whole thing as this little being who just loved love. Like me and my sister, we loved litters. You know, when a cat would have kittens or a dog would have puppies, or even when the horse had a colt. Yeah. The amazing thing to me was, you know, it could be a brown horse and have a white colt. Or it could be, you know, an orange cat, but it got 3 black ones, a gray one, and, you know. And so I was amazed by color because I thought that that's how the real deal was, you know. So until I got to Washington, D.C., and they said, well, you're an N and they're white crackers, then, and I was like, well, what are you talking about? And what side am I on? You know, and I ended up somewhere where everybody is and everybody could be, which is somewhere in the middle. You know, somewhere in the middle.
I love it. I love it a lot. You're going to have a good time, and we're going to have a better time in Muncie having you here. Tommy Davidson, thank you for doing this. Look forward to seeing you on Mother's Day in Muncie, Indiana. Safe travels to you, okay?
Hey, man. Hey, can't beat it, man. Mother's Day in Minnesota. Let's do it.
We're going to do Mother's Day and
Vikings
Minnesota.
Fans, let's go,
yeah. All right. Excellent. Tommy Davidson, our guest this morning. We continue with Delaware County today on WMUN.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio. I'm Gary Dick. A study released this week shows that the first iteration of the state's Regional Economic Acceleration and Development Initiative, or READY 1.0, created statewide economic impact of more than $675 million. Governor Mike Brown's office says the evaluation is meant to assess how the READY investments have influenced income, job growth, and cultural enrichment. Indiana University senior Gage Pratt is a lifelong athlete who's now adding founder and business owner to his resume. As a cyclist, Pratt says he and teammates are always looking for ways to become more aerodynamic. Pratt has officially launched the AeroBib, an adhesive piece of fabric that attaches to clothing without the need for pins. A Fort Wayne-based nonprofit is now planning to sell the pool used in the 2024 U.S. Olympic swim trials in Indianapolis after plans for a new aquatic center fell through. Fort Wayne Swim and Wellness Alliance was unable to secure the necessary funding for the $54 million project. You're listening to Inside Indiana Business Radio.
We build Indiana. The Laborers International Union of North America builds and maintains roads, bridges, and other essential infrastructure that make us the crossroads of America. So thanks to LIUNA members' work, Hoosiers have a better quality of life, like access to utilities, easier routes to jobs, schools, or medical care, and deliveries keep moving. We build Indiana for good jobs and stronger communities. The Laborers International Union of North America. We are LIUNA.
Indiana, start your engines. Join us from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for our Emmy Award-winning Business at the Brickyard, presented by LIUNA. All month long, we'll bring you exclusive interviews, features, and a behind-the-scenes look at how the business of motorsports and racing drive the Indiana economy. Business at the Brickyard, It's front row access you won't want to miss.
Want to hear more? Replays uploaded daily on WMUNmuncie.com. Now back to Delaware County Today with Steve Lindell, presented by Muncie Community Schools.
Ball State Volleyball did their work last night. They win and advance. The championship match will be Saturday at Worthen Arena. You will probably hear about that and a whole lot more at 9 o'clock this morning. It is our weekly program called This Week in Ball State Athletics. Mr. Mick Tidrow, the VOC, is going to be sitting in this air chair. Studio B, his guest for the entire hour, will be Jeff Mitchell, the Director of Athletics at Ball State University. All right, next item this morning, let's get a snapshot of your day today.
It's April 23rd, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is World Book Day, proposed in 1995 by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, also known as UNESCO, to celebrate books and reading. They chose April 23rd because several famous authors died on the day, including William Shakespeare. Also on this day, a new Coca-Cola hit store shelves in 1985. It's a Coke. Coke is it. But it didn't go over very well. Soon afterwards, they reintroduced the original Coke as Coca-Cola Classic. In 1975, President Ford gave a speech at Tulane University and spoke of the Vietnam War.
By refighting a war that is finished, as far as America is concerned.
And in 1954, Hank Aaron knocked his first home run out of the park. He'd eventually go on to surpass Babe Ruth's long-standing record. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
On WMUN, News Talk, Sports Talk, Community Talk, and the place for Ball State baseball. You will hear and see the coach of the baseball team at 5 o'clock this afternoon. That is our weekly program. This Inside Ball State Baseball program hosted by Mick Tidrow. He's a busy, busy man. He'll have Rich Maloney in Studio B. That airs at 5 p.m. today on the WMUN. And I guess I'm looking at the article here from the Daily News. Ball State baseball is the subject for just a moment here. The Cardinals able to get back in the win column, putting an end to a rough 3-game losing streak on the very first play offensively that set the tone. Home run, 10th of the season. And was the final score here like 1,000,000-5? It was, hold on a second. Through 7 innings, it was 25-7. Is that? No. Is that our record or is that the score? 25-7 was the score after. Oh, we're going to have clarification with Mick Tidrow. He's in his car right now, driving down the road, and he's going, Steve, why am I not sitting there with you? I can tell you. He's going to tell us the whole thing at 9 o'clock when he's live inside Studio B, where I'm sitting right now. Hello, Sister Sherry. Got your texts about Tommy Davidson. Saw him after the interview finished, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you're sharing in the written form there on the cellular device. Next item for this morning, a widely used additive could be messing with your memory.
This is House Call for Health. Feeling forgetful? It may be time to put down the salt. A recent study suggests your salt intake could make memory problems worse. Researchers say higher sodium intake affects episodic memory, the type of memory that's used to remember personal and specific experiences and events. The effects were found mostly among men, not so much among women. Those men with higher salt intake had a faster decline in episodic memory. One researcher says sodium could contribute to brain inflammation, damaged blood vessels, and reduced blood flow to the brain. Researchers say the study findings give an early evidence link between cognitive function and higher sodium intake, but more research is needed to understand how and why that would happen. The study looked at more than 1,200 people ages 60 and older over 6 years. Findings were published in the journal Neurobiology of Aging. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
On WMUN, News Talk, Sports Talk, Community Talk, we're the talk radio of Muncie. We have radio stations that play songs, too. A lot of those stations and a lot of those songs. Weather looks like this. WMUN meteorologist Paul Poteet says something around like 79 or 81 today. Should be bright and sunny, which is very nice. Stays clear overnight, and then some shower and rain chances come in, but the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, look dry and nice during both of those days. This all, of course, is subject to a change. See dealer for details. We have the hourly updates with that young man, Paul Poteet, and his cartoon-looking face. I'm going to bring up the graphic just one quick time for our video replayers on the YouTube channel. That is Tommy Davidson, the guest that was on just minutes and moments ago. The Mother's Day show will be a comedy extravaganza at Sunday, May 10 at Cornerstone Center for the Arts on the big stage in the Edmund Burke Ball Auditorium. And if his on-stage presentation is even half as entertaining as he was with the conversation we had the good fortune of having just a moment ago, that's going to be a really, really, really fun and uplifting show. And fun and uplifting, there is not nearly enough of that going around. We need that over and over and over again. Next item today on WMUN, going to D.C. now. Congress seems to be pushing off the extension of a key terrorism prevention bill.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. Never leave till tomorrow, which you can do today, said Ben Franklin. If sloganeering was left to Congress, the motto might read, never do today what you can leave until tomorrow. That's emblematic of the recent scramble on Capitol Hill to renew the key terrorism prevention program known as FISA Section 702. Congress faced a deadline to re-up the program last week. President Trump demanded that Republicans work together and approve an 18-month extension. So despite the promise of a late-night vote last Wednesday, the House GOP brain trust punted until Thursday. Some Republicans balked at the 18-month extension. Therefore, the House worked throughout the day on Thursday to get the votes in hopes of passing something late that night. The House GOP leadership then dropped the 18-month extension and asked members to vote on a 5-year renewal. The House blocked that on a procedural vote, finally agreeing to a 13-day extension. The Senate aligned later the same day, but now Congress faces a similar deadline in just a couple of days, having never solved the problem. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
On WMUN's Delaware County today, a couple of minutes left in the show. Ball State Athletics in focus, top of hour. Mr. Mick Tidrow, who is in the green room right now, stretching. I don't know why he stretches, but he is the consummate professional. He will not go on the radio until he is properly aligned. It might be his back, it might be his shoulder. I'm just not sure, but the fact that he's doing silent calisthenics in the back of Studio B, I wish I could show you right now, but I don't have that camera angle preset. I do have this, MuncieJournal.com. It is a free service on what we call the interwebs. Editor-in-Chief Mike Rhodes, his second mention this day. I think I mentioned him twice today. He is so famous, doing a great job with that publication. And the other, the 765businessjournal.com publication as well. All right, final thing for this morning, way back to 2019 for this good story replay.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A Florida man who paid off the lunch debt of every child in his community makes the Dean's List. When Andrew Levy found out that more than 400 students in his area of Jupiter, Florida, were unable to receive a full meal because they couldn't afford to pay for school lunches, he stepped up to the plate. Mr. Levy paid $944 to cover 9 local students' lunch debt, something he said was a modest price to pay to make a difference for each child. And by sharing his deed on social media, the real estate agent took it one step further. His post went viral. One person said, "I want to thank you for your generosity. These kids will never forget your kindness." Andrew Levy says the lunch debt is crazy. Food is something you shouldn't have to think about, and children shouldn't go hungry. Thank you, Andrew, for your generosity and for spreading awareness. You made the Dean's List. Janice Dean, Fox News.
And away we go as we bring you out of this program and into the next one. Quick studio change coming to get Mr. Mick Tidrow up to the stage. For Aiden Foster, son of Al, producing in the Axia Command Center, I'm Steve Lindell, back tomorrow on WMUN.